effective, seamless, and ad package Omnichannel by Dimpy, Yadav, General Manager, XAXIS.
Thank you, Deenal, and thank you, Anil, for providing us with this amazing opportunity to discuss about video landscape, OTT, and definitely connected TV, which remains a very much talking point across the industry. Without taking a lot of time, I would really want to share a lot of inputs with you today on same, which is more about how we plan in a very effective channel, which is across video platforms and omni-channel strategy. And I hope you all can see the presentation right now. So when we talk about connected TV, we all understand that it really sits within the landscape of video in India right now. And when we talk about, again, how do we build on a very much omni-channel strategy, it is very, I'll say, crucial to understand that what is omni-channel? What do we really define as omni-channel? So we know that when we are trying to target our audiences, we need to ensure that the exposure is happening with them, regardless of where they are. How does that really help an advertiser or a brand is basically how do you maximize your profits with a single view of consumer, because audiences are really everywhere. And then how do you really create a very personalized journey for them? However, when we talk about having a maximized profit with a single view of consumer, how it is literally seen is that are we able to connect the offline medium with the online medium? Because that's how the consumers are really shifting from one channel to another. And that's how, at the end, the outlays or the campaign objectives and ROIs are getting driven. So when we look at personalization, like how we can drive better ROI for a brand from consumers, we look at the fact that consumers are literally having a display on the product, they're clicking and collecting, they're going for payment solutions, and there's so many digital guides around it. But again, the question here is that as we all know that 73% of customers are actually using are actually having their experiences across channels. So what does that really mean here is that when we are looking at an advertiser's point of view, we definitely know that omni-channel customers are very much effective in terms of conversions too. So the strategies which are built in an omni-channel fashion are leading to a lot of savings in terms of these audiences are spending 3x more versus just an in-store experience that they have. Also, it has been seen by the studies that customers who had just been going online versus the ones who had been targeted effectively in an omni-channel environment are spending 7x more. So that clearly means that ROS for a campaign is definitely better and higher when it is being planned in a very omni-channel way in a strategy. So as we all know that the shopping retail segment had been big and huge, and we know that as per the studies, omni-channel customers are also repeat customers, especially by 23%. So brands are definitely being recommended by them to their friends, and that's how the network is growing for them too. But when we look at a consumer landscape, especially for advertiser, let's have a look in terms of how this consumer landscape is really working about. So when we talk about even connected TV, which stems from the fact of video, we need to first ask a question about video to us. That how many of us literally watched TV last night, any show? How many of us were watching news or sports clip today, but again on the video landscape? And are we checking our phone in any way here? Or are we just on the screens? So definitely there's a lot of attribution which is coming for a consumer. When we start our day in the morning, definitely a routine is to get prepared, to get ready, having a morning cup of coffees and teas. We also spend up some time having a breeze through on the news, or we're also in a way connecting to the linear TVs, having our music on, etc. All those activities are happening. But at the same time, when we also are in a way commuting to our offices, many of us are going back to office, then comes a time when we're consuming short form videos, which is an on-the-go activity for most of us because we're consuming or trying to engage ourselves in that day-to-day routine. But especially when we're at work, and as we know that especially across the offices, we have these screens for us, where we have connected TV playing the role, where it could be sports, it could be regular video, but more of a social engagement that we're engaging ourselves into. And then lastly, when we're in our houses back again in the evening, is the time when we want to do a show binge watching, when we want to put our favorite shows, favorite movies, and want to engage ourselves, especially post-COVID times. So when we understand that as a consumer is present everywhere and really pull back to them on their touch points in terms of how they're spending their day. So none of the channels literally we can say that excluded. So our strategies cannot be also built in a similar way. We understand that how it stemmed was from a traditional linear TV, when a user or a consumer can be targeted based their demographics because they are a viewer of a traditional TV. But then we could also see a bit of evolution, and then we also had addressable TV, which was in the form of set-top boxes, which is again in India also a lot of consumers are there. But we also have a lot of data targeting opportunity, which we call as advanced linear TV, where we know that we can buy our digital audiences on TV from a networks where we can do a lot of play arounds with the data targetings. But especially in last 2 years, as we all know that how industry has shaped up, how world has entered a new era, we have seen that connected TV has really boomed as a separate channel altogether. Connected TV is a place where so many audiences are engaging, not only for video consumption, but for many other activities, which could be for a device console, which could be for connecting for their favorite shows and movies, which could be also the favorite track of songs, playlists, etc. happening for them. And then we have our desktop and mobile ads and applications where largely OTT network sits for us, and also a lot of consumptions on small players. But in a nutshell, when we look at these 5 pillars for video consumption is where entire universe sits for us. So let's understand that if in a given changing market, we know that our consumers are present everywhere. So I think it's very imperative that even our video strategies need to be very effectively managed in a very omni-channel manner. So when we understand that our audiences are not only available on mobile as a device, but also connected TV and also regular traditional TV. But again, understanding from the fact that connected TV, be it mobile ads, be it desktop ads, all these mediums fall back to certain channels, which here are in a form of OTTs, where we have MX Player, Z5, Woo, Disney Hotstar, Sony as the leading partners, providing opportunities and capabilities even for audiences to connect with their favorite shows in a real-time manner. Then we also have a big player, YouTube, where again, a lot many offerings and content is being posted and presented, which again gives you an opportunity and as a user to connect with your favorite content across the devices and mediums. But then we also have a lot of video and gaming opportunities and many more, like my friend Anil just mentioned about smart TV ads, etc., where a lot of consoles are being built, are being connected with connected TV. So that's how we need to look at it, that when we're targeting the audiences, it should never be looked at in just a device targeting manner or just a demographic targeting manner. Because on the right side, what you can see is a very traditional method, is where and how we are planning our campaigns today, which is we are planning the channels, which could be YouTube, Hotstar, MX. But ideally, when we are planning a campaign, it should be planned basis audiences to understand where our audiences sit, where can we target them effectively in a more personalized manner. So when we understand that there's so many opportunities within the video advertising also, it's not just the data targeting, not just the cohort building, but also understanding the channels where the audiences are sitting, also understanding the mediums from which we can really tap these audiences. So let me put an example here. So when we're planning a campaign for, I'll say, content on one of the partners, could be Disney Hotstar, could be Sony, MX Player, etc., our strategy should actually vary. One could be inventory buying on OTT, where you're targeting audiences basis their app consumption behavior. So we need to look at the fact that how a consumer would be thinking when they're consuming a content on an OTT, when we as an advertiser are trying to buy inventories for them. So we need to also understand the consumer mindset. Is consumer more in a mindset of engaging with the video, or are they just wanted to look at the content and just go back away? Then we also have connected TV, which is again, the audiences are though activated across channels, but as we are discussing about the touch point in their consumers' day-to-day life, the moods are different. So in the evening, when that consumer is on a connected TV, the mindset is different. So hence, the kind of creative edit we are choosing, the kind of content we want to show in our ad needs to be picked and customized accordingly. So when we are able to map this back, the strategy back to the fact that a consumer's days has a lot of mood variation, the engagement levels are different, the attention span is different. Hence, if we pick our channels and our strategies and the mediums effectively, we're gonna get a better and effective ROI for the campaigns. But when we look at it, it's also essential to address some of the facts very effectively while we are planning for video. Some questions I feel that all of us as an advertiser, as agencies, we need to really ask us, which is, are we managing the frequencies across OTT buys and across video advertising, I would say, in a very effective manner? Or are we doing it at all? Or are we still buying our OTTs in a single manner, which is let's buy Woot, let's buy Sony, etc., but not planning it effectively basis the audiences? Then are we using AI to optimize our video budgets dynamically across these channels and trying to get higher efficiency? Then again, we need to understand that since the world is moving towards data sources, we understand so many changes are happening around and everybody's focus is on audience segmentation. So are we again building them in respect to our audience and consumers' mindsets and their behaviors and how the campaign should really be optimized towards it? And lastly, when we talk about brand safety standards, are we keeping it very much standard across video channels? Or are we, when we understand that there's so many channels around it, we have traditional TV, we have connected TV, we have OTTs on devices like applications and mobiles. So are we looking at a consistent brand safety standard or again, customizing it basis the platform that we're picking, even video too? So these are certain questions that I feel should have prime dominance when, again, we are planning a campaign, when we are planning the strategies, because with that, we'll be able to go more closer to the objectives that we have in mind for us. Similarly, on a quick note, we also need to look at some myths versus the facts, because as of today, when we are working on the campaigns and deploying a lot of media monies and dollars onto it, it needs to be very much evaluated that when we are running after audiences, are we collecting data for exposed audiences back in the DMPs? Because if that is the reason for you to pick and choose certain channels, then it's very much important that you see whether it's exposure level data or engagement level data and how that can marry well with your video strategy again. Then when we're doing a campaign using platforms like DSPs, do we understand that demographic kind of a targeting or cohort activation is being set up at a DSP level, or is my campaign actually getting exposed to the right TG? And then how do we work in a lot much fashion, like the way we have programmatic channels, to go more closer to it? Then again, especially on YouTube or OTTs, we know that data is becoming a very much stringent conversation and very much prime importance of prime importance. Are we getting this data back on our DSP seats? So we need to look at these questions, and also importantly, when we're doing any campaign programmatically, when we're talking about omni-channel visions and approaches, are we able to control the exposure to audiences across these channels at DSP level, and then how? And lastly, when we are talking about, again, the targeting filters, are we keeping them standard across the video? Are we ensuring that our content, our ads are running on a brand safe content and a suitable content or not? So I would say when these certain questions, when we are planning a campaign and we also look at them and not just the TG, not just the reach, we'll be able to really open up our horizon more. We would know that I should not be picking up only one channel, but let's plan my entire video advertising budget in a holistic manner. Let's plan it in a very omni-channel manner, and let's target audiences in a way where the ROI can be more efficient and more effective. And when we are planning a campaign, let's not say that connected TV is equal to OTT, because definitely, as I just mentioned, the moods are different for audience. So how do you connect well with them within the current scope of entire programmatic landscape that is still available with us, and we can connect with audiences in this fashion? So if I have to sum it up in a very layman language, I would say that right now, when we are buying videos, it's in a very fragmented manner, which could be investments are going separately on the network buys across gaming news or on YouTube or on OTTs of the world. But we're not looking at it in a device manner too. We're not looking at it from the fact that how a consumer thinks about them. So for a consumer, it might not be just a YouTube or OTT. For them, it might more be about their current mood, their current activity, and how then they're engaging with the content. So when a consumer is on the go, definitely they don't have big screens with them. So it's not connected TV, but a small mobile application in the phone. And hence, maybe the span attention time is not really too much because they're traveling. So would you want to have a short form videos being running onto that? While when a person is back at home in the evening and relaxing with their family and on a bigger screen, then would you want to have a large duration ad format passing on entire content and communication to the user? So when we're looking at it, we need to then look at the fact that while we are planning, in a very siloed manner, how that can be resolved for. So we clearly look at consolidation as one of the solutions. When we are able to consolidate the video buying, we are able to get better cost savings and of course, better outcomes too. So I would say that when you're deploying your media monies, it's essential that you consolidate all of it together in a very omni-channel strategy. And let's start thinking from a consumer perspective. Let's see how, in a very holistic manner, we can define the reach. We can target them without overexposure, how fluidly we can allocate the budgets, and how much can we optimize the supply optimization paths that we have. Again, similarly, the way I just spoke to you, we need to place all these channels in a separate folders like traditional TV, then CTV, then pre-rolls, and then short form videos, and which is going to be a better way for us to reach our audiences in a very defined manner. Similarly, just an example, if it's a CPG brand, then how should you be really planning your campaign? That how do you look at the reach extension, and how do you define that whether it's a mobile first campaign or should be heavy on CTV, smart TVs, or let's just go on mobile or desktop ads using inventories on OTTs. Or if you're talking about a brand which is new and wants to increase their awareness, then would you want to have all of them together? But again, in a planned manner. In phase one, your traditional TV and your desktop ads can be regular, but while you're blasting your campaign with a short form video initially. Then phase two could be more of interactive videos, again, happening on OTTs. Then phase three could be very much an always on campaign using connected TV. So that's how it depends, like totally how you're planning your campaigns in a very singular manner. So again, an example, if it's an e-commerce brand, then could be, you might not break it in phases, but on a day level. Like in the morning, you would want to go heavy on linear TV. Evening, you would want to go heavy on connected TV. At work, it's more on pre-rolls and so and so. And then how it falls back on your awareness, consideration, engagement, and those kind of audience funnels. Lastly, I would just say, and I'll sum up this entire exercise and the conversation with this slide, which talks about the fact that let's utilize the full stack. Pardon the spelling there. But I would say that you have a lot of supply available with you, especially in India right now, when you're talking about so much of OTT channels, connected TV options, video forms, etc. Let's buy them in a very programmatic manner, create an omni-channel strategy, and curate your inventory using all videos, video channels, even like YouTube, etc. And don't forget to put a very standard BAV across the platforms. You have tools like IAS, Mode, then by Google, which is double verify, utilize them. When you're running your campaign, definitely you need to go back to video experts because they will help you do it. So DV360, Google, they really are driving this program of certified traders. They will be helping you do this campaign with whomever you're working. And don't forget to have very much cross-channel expertise, which is able to build, help you build your omni-channel strategy. A lot of platforms are already there for you, driving a very global process-driven consistency across. Data and insights remains the pillar of any campaign. You need to understand who your audiences are. With omni-channel strategy, you can see very effectively how do you define your audience, again, across channels. And then lastly, we have AI, which is very much available as of today. The technology is helping us to drive better outcomes, better efficiency across channels, using a lot of algorithms and I'll say custom outcome goals. So lastly, when we're able to follow all of this, we're able to drive better savings and better outcomes. I know it had been a very short span to discuss all of it, but I would be happy to take any questions or any queries you guys may have.
I have the time, Dinal and Sana. If I do, I'll go ahead.
Yes, you have time.
No, yeah, but you know, the television guys and the digital guys, are they working in silos for you to really come up with an omni-channel kind of a strategy? There's gaps in there, right? Yeah.
Yes, Anil. So I would say that, as you know, like connected TV could actually be the hook between both the worlds. But yes, as of today, since the evolution is at a very early nascent stage, I feel that digital and TV guys and platforms and even planning is happening in a very siloed manner. While if we have 100 rupee as a media budget, overall advertising budget, I still see it could be 70 on TV, maximum 30 on digital. But how we need to look at it is that how do you either utilize digital as a complementary channel or take it to drive incremental reach for you. But that can only be done when you start looking at these channels as one advertising kit that you have, and not within advertising when you start defining that, okay, this is traditional money, this is digital money. Because at the end, idea of entire asset at your hand is to connect with your audiences. And for a consumer like you and me, basic consumers, for us, our world revolves around everything, which is even TV, which is even phones and connected TV, everything. So when we are planning our media strategy, that also needs to fall back on the same lines.
I also get it. See, Upstocks, for instance, they wanted to have a lot of Tom build up to happen. So they went straight away for the IPL exercise over the last 6 months in the IPL 1 and IPL 2. Their scores left like, bazooka, they went bazooka.
Yeah.
Or bazunga, whatever, use whatever word you want to use. And so it also depends on the intent of the campaign, right? Not just, that you have to have a media mix, which does have television, which does have mobile, which does have linear, which does have connected, which does have YouTube. Though, of course, most of the money is going to YouTube and Facebook and Insta. A lot of that is going into these three outlets.
Yeah. So, and I would say that Upstock strategy is very well thought of, very well curated, which stems not only from the selection of media channels, but also from communication that they're trying to build and the way they're trying to propose their offerings and their brand to audiences. It's very well thought of. I would say definitely they're going heavy on IPL and other selections too. But again, that's a part of a very well-driven strategy, where I would say that phase one, there are certain channels that the brand has picked up. Then there's always a phase two and always a phase three. Even in phase one, I'm not denying the fact that Upstocks is not active on digital mediums at all, because that's not true. It's just, I can definitely say that the mix could be, the heavy portion could be on traditional or could be followed by connected TV. In future, it could be extremely heavy on just digital mediums, but that's more in alignment to their entire funnel that they're defined for their audiences. As in my presentation, I showed you that there are 2-3 different top level strategies. One could be you go piece by piece meal. Other could be you activate all of it together, but again in different ratios. Then something like e-commerce, you could not be defining it in a week, but on a daily level, you have 5 different strategies running as per the day's time. Similarly for Upstocks too, I would say that for each brand, again, the customization must happen. And I'm really happy to see that the brand has done it. So again, for Upstocks, I'm with the thought that yes, if they're selecting only IPL as the channel, as the promotion medium right now, because audiences are there, it's absolutely correct.
Great. So there's a question here. You mentioned that Google helps drive omni-channel strategies. Is that a mandate or just a suggestion? This has come from somebody in the audience.
Sure. So I would say that Google is one of the biggest platforms today, and they're providing us with opportunities and stacks that can help us drive omni-channel strategy. Like Google has their suite of DSP. They're providing you with entire mechanism of activating data, a deep level analytics insights using ADH, etc. So all of these are definitely strong recommendations. We would say you must do it. There's never a mandate. As I say that for each advertiser, you must be having your own different ways of curating your strategy, creating your, I'll say, again, media plannings, because it totally depends on the ROI that you are trying to get. Phase one could be just directly about conversions if you're e-commerce and if it's a festive season. But versus if you're a CPG and if you're trying to launch a product, your thoughts could be different about it, right? So there's no mandate as a strategy for anybody, but definitely strong recommendations. All we're trying to say is that with the help of all the studies that had been done by third parties too, it's quite evident that omni-channel strategies are leading to 2x, 3x, and even 7x better outputs. So it's always just suggested that when you're doing a campaign, try to do it in an omni-channel manner so that you're not overexposing your audiences. Plus, you have one view of your audience. So it's a very much singular frequency managed campaign that we're suggesting to do.
Okay. There's another question which has come up is, what is the level of understanding and insights that people have in terms, especially in the media space today? Has evolution happened to think omnichannelly? What is missing? And not just among the agencies, but also amongst the advertisers? Or, what is missing and how can that gap be filled?
Yeah. So I would say, Anil, that's one of the best questions. I would really like it because it is of utmost importance. When we are planning a campaign, most of the focus definitely remains on the pre-planning part, but the post part is equally crucial. And yes, I would say there are always two worlds to it. One is the adoption piece, which is driven by agencies and advertisers. One is a creation piece, which is where we have leaders like Google, etc., who are trying to build that entire piece for advertisers and agencies to consume it more. So I would say that in India, especially right now, we're sitting in a very glory period where we have all these tools and technologies provided to us in a live environment. They're tested and done already. Like recently, when we have ADH, which is Ads Data Hub, again launched by Google, then we also have so many other partners and companies coming up where when we talk about insights, it is not just about the basic metric of a campaign, like how much impressions, how much views, but we understand very much at data-driven attributed models too. So when I say data-driven attribution, it totally helps you to understand that which channel from which kind of activation of cohort has driven you some exposures or conversions. So it is just that I would say it's not a gap, but as I said, that it's an evolution, especially for us while we're at a nascent stage. Connecting the dots is important. So entire stack is there. We have a search campaigns happening. We have a social campaigns and programmatic, then regular, I'll say outside pre-rolls, which is outside network buying also happening. All we need to do is that even if you're not buying them in an omni-channel manner, at least ensure to buy them programmatically. So you have data pipes connected with you. So you have data coming in. And then how you can also use a singular platform to maybe ad serve the campaign. So when you're ad serving your campaign, you definitely have a vision across the channels in terms of how audiences has been exposed and how much contribution each channel had been giving in terms of creating any kind of engagement. So I would just say that connecting the dots is important. Deploying a full stack, as my last slide talked about, is important. Once you're deploying a full stack, which is not just DSPs, not just inventory activation, but also then ad serving. Then also
but you didn't answer my question about the skill sets. How backward are we? How much is lacking?
No, why are we backward? We're definitely not backward. And in fact, I would say that India is actually a market where within pandemic, the hubs are getting created for EMEA markets, for other markets, where Indians are servicing campaigns for like around the globe teams, right? That can only be done when people have expertise. So this is one of the fact states that yes, our country is very much evolved when it comes to understanding platforms or insights. So
you want to take the door? We'll just wait for a second.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
I have something.
There's another question which has come. Instead of TV being heavy, can we go with a mix of digital heavy budget for a new OTT player that is customized and personalized advertising using advertisements using Google AI? That's coming from Dipankar Chaudhary. Thank
you again. A great question. I would say there's no right answer to it in terms of that, yes, you must do it, because if you're an OTT channel which is new, definitely you would want to go for mass reach at a lowest cost. Then TV really drives that for you. It is very much there. But if you're a channel which has already attained that market and what you're trying to now do is just be on top of it and have a better brand recall or get more subscriptions, which is stage 2 for you, or have a better, more time spent on your platform, which is stage 3 for you, then digital can drive that because you have attained a lot of, I'll say noise has been created, a lot of reach has been attained. Now you have conversions too, which is people who are activated on your platform. So now stage comes when you engage more with them, you try to show them how better offers do you have or how do you better engage with your audiences who are not really much active. So I would say it totally again depends on the goal that you're trying to achieve. If it is stage 1, definitely go heavy on TV. But if this is stage 2, then digital can drive better outcomes and ROIs for you.
Great. Thank you very much. And I think this is one of the very interesting sessions we've had since morning. The first one, you began it well and you ended it well at the same time. Thank you very much. Look forward to interacting with you again in the future. It's been a pleasure having you, Dimpy. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.